StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there, bowl in offensively, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is the levels of discipline. Before we get into this, I'll remind you all of a couple of things. First of all, my daily motivation, Monday motivation text message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. Once we start sending that message out again, you're going to be wanting to get that. You're going to be wanting to get that straight to your phone. All you got to do is text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. Once we start sending those messages again, you'll be getting those straight to your phone, and you can even tell us how often you want to receive the messages. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. If you'd like to have me as your direct coach, that's the place where it happens. Again, that's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. What we are focused on over there is mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability. This is for high-level performers, people who want to be at that top level, or those of you who are already there and you want to go to an even higher level because you are not okay with where you are right now. The status quo is just not working for you. That's death to you. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is down below in the description to this episode. So with all that out the way, let's get into the topic here today, which again is the levels of discipline. Now, you all know, if you've been following this material for any amount of time, you know that discipline is the foundation of what we do here. It is the most valuable asset, most important asset and attribute that I talk about when it comes to high-level performers, whether we're talking in the business world, the sports world, or anywhere in between. It is one of the foundational mental assets of what Work on Your Game and our entire philosophy is built on, in case you didn't know. And is the most important tool I would take with me if I can only take one. Everything I talk about, discipline is the most important one that I would take with me if I had to drop everything else and only take one to move forward. So today we're going to talk about the levels of executing on discipline. You'll understand what I mean by that as we get into this. Point number one, topic once again is the levels of discipline. Number one, you do what you are penalized for not doing. This is the lowest level of discipline, is when you do things because you know that if you don't do them, you shall face a penalty. In other words, there's a guillotine hanging over your head, and if you don't do a thing, then the guillotine is going to drop, so you basically do what you have to do. This is the level of, let's say, a child who's 7 years old and they have to clean up their room, because if they don't clean up their room, they're going to get punished by their parents. All right, that's this first level of discipline. Or the person who's at work and they have a supervisor looking over their shoulder while they're doing their job to make sure that you do the job the right way, and you know you're going to do it the right way because the boss is watching you, so you do it right. This is a level of discipline. There is some discipline involved in that. You know you're being watched, so you do the job like you're supposed to. That is discipline technically, but is not worth a lot because you are only executing this discipline because there is a penalty hanging over your head for not doing it, and it's an immediate penalty. Now, even a long-term penalty would be a higher level of discipline than this, but an immediate penalty, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, that's not really the kind of discipline that we're talking about here, because it also requires the resources of something or someone else watching you instead of you just doing what you're supposed to do, which we'll get to in a minute. And when someone else has to watch you, that means we have double the resources being used. Not only you doing the work, but somebody else has to do the work of watching your ass, because you wouldn't do what you're supposed to do when you weren't being watched, or you are at least not trusted to do what you were supposed to do if you weren't being watched. So if this is the level that you're at, because it's actually costing more resources than it is producing, you're doing what you're doing, you are an amateur at this game, and I suggest that you step your game up and at least graduate to the next level of discipline, because this level is not worth much. This is a minimum wage level. So if you find yourself at this level of discipline, you are at the minimum wage, or some people like to call this the living wage, but it's not a living wage. It's actually a minimum wage. It's what it is. It's a minimum wage because you are giving a minimum effort. All right, that's what it is. I talked about the living wage, by the way, in episode number 2314. Title is No One Deserves a Living Wage. There's no such thing as deserving a living wage. Now, there is a minimum wage, and some people deserve that because you're giving a minimum level effort, or you're producing a minimum level of value. Again, listen to that episode and you can get my full thoughts on that yourself. Again, there's not much use for a person who's at this level, just so you know. This person is not worth a lot because you are not bringing a lot to the table. You are easily replaceable, and Again, it's costing more resources to have you do your job than you are actually producing from doing the job. So you're actually a minus, you're a net negative to the whole system more than you will be a positive. So if you are at this level, I suggest you get out of this level as quickly as possible because you're in an emergency situation and there is some computer geek in Silicon Valley working on a microchip that is going to replace you in the need for your job permanently within the next 90 to 180 days. So I would suggest you really get a sense of urgency about stepping your level up to point number 2. The topic once again here today is the levels of discipline. Number 2, you do what you're supposed to do when you are supervised. Now, no, actually, all right, this level is not worth that much either. I kept telling y'all should get up to level 2. You don't really, this is not really a level that you want to be at either because these people will be easily eliminated as well. All right, that microchip that I just told you someone's working on to get rid of you, that nerd that is creating that microchip, all right, they're going to eliminate you and the people at level 1 all at the same time for what they come up with. That's right, microchip. Whatever they come up with, they're going to eliminate you and them at the same time. This is the person who might work at an office and you're doing the job only because the boss told you to do it and you don't want to get reprimanded next week at the department meeting and get fired because you didn't do the job. All right, it's not that this person, the person that who operates at this level is not valuable. You do bring some value to the table. Because there are times where I worked jobs where I was this individual, but it's also not that this person is producing a ton of value for what they're doing in the process. Your value ain't that high. You're producing some value, but if you left, there wouldn't be a going away party for you. The machine would not stop moving just because you walked out of it. All right, it'll keep going. If you must be supervised, and even if your supervision is maybe at a distance, so boss gives you some work on Monday and they don't check on it till Friday, that's still supervision. It's just not immediate supervision. You need to be supervised in order to have discipline. You don't have discipline. If you need to be supervised in order to have discipline, you don't have discipline. All right, that's the antithesis of discipline. Antithesis of discipline. Discipline is about you showing up and doing the job, even when you don't feel like doing the job, even if no one knows whether you're doing the job or not. No one even know if you showed up or not. For example, I'm recording this episode on a day when I didn't get a ton of sleep the night before. I was up a little bit later than usual. My son was waking up in the middle of the night, and that had me up and interrupted my sleep multiple times. Didn't get a ton of rest, and I could have easily not gone to the gym today, but I went to the gym anyway. And at the gym, guess who was there? Not many people. There weren't many people there. So it's not like if I hadn't gone, anybody would have been like, damn, Dre, why weren't you at the gym on Friday? Because I'm recording this on a Friday. Nobody would have said that because there was nobody there to have missed me. And there weren't many people there. I would go to a boxing gym, is where I went today. And there's a class, when I finish my workout, there's a class that starts right after my workout ends. And it's usually a bunch of people taking the class. And there's a trainer who comes and teaches the class and a bunch of people who come to take the class. And today when I was leaving, I noticed that there was only one person who showed up for the class. I've never seen that. There's always several people for the class. Like I've seen 20 people in this class. I've seen 10, I've seen 15. I've never seen just one person. And this one person comes to the class. So as I'm leaving, I see the trainer, the instructor who usually teaches the class. He's basically giving a one-on-one boxing lesson to this one guy who showed up for the class. Nobody else came to the gym today. And that's just how it is sometimes. So had I not shown up, nobody would have missed me. Nobody would have noticed. But guess what? I would have noticed. That's discipline. Discipline is when you're showing up, even when it doesn't matter if anybody else knows whether or not you showed up. Are you willing to hold yourself to that level of accountability in any aspect of your life? Again, if you aren't willing to do that, then you're a level 2 or a level 1 person when it comes to discipline, which means you are very replaceable. Yes, level 2, level 1 person. You want to be in a position where you don't need to be supervised and you still perform at the same level as if you were being supervised. You want to be in a position where you are not being supervised, but you perform as if you are being supervised. That's the level that you want to be at. So you want to graduate to level 3, because I lied to you about level 2. So you want to graduate to level 3, which is where the real value actually starts being produced. And I want to take a note here because I just thought of something that I think would be a good topic for this show. Okay, so moving on to level 3. Today's topic, once again, is the levels of discipline. Third level of discipline is doing your job on your own volition with the right mindset. Mindset. Doing your job on your own volition with the right mindset. This is where a disciplined person starts to become valuable because you are doing things, again, on your own volition, and you have the mindset for doing them because you want to. Now, this is a different level. It's one thing when you're doing the right thing because somebody told you to, and you know they're going to do something if you don't. The whole other thing when you're doing the right thing because you want to, and that's it. You're doing the right thing because you want to, period. Whether somebody knows about it or not. All right, this is the level you want to be at. This is where a disciplined person starts to become valuable because you are doing things on your own volition and you have the mindset for doing them because, again, it is a decision. Now, nobody has a watch over you. You may not even have a person who is qualified to watch over you. Nobody's double checking anything that you do. And your consistency creates a level of trust where if there is a boss, if you do have a boss, they know the job is going to be done if you're the one who's on it. So they don't even bother double checking your work because they know you're going to do it. They know you're going to deliver. They don't have to watch over you. So you are actually an asset to the organization. You want to be this type of person if you're working in an organization where there is a boss or you're on a team where there is a coach. You want to be this type of asset. Why? Because now the person in charge, when they go and check on everybody's work, they can skip checking over your work because they know that you're going to show up. So you're one person they don't have to worry about because they know you're going to deliver. Now they just got to check on everybody else. They got to check on everyone else who's not at your level. So you actually become an extension of the people who are in charge, and they start to see you as one of those people they can rely on. And that means you might be setting yourself up for a promotion or a raise or an advancement because you're delivering on a consistent basis to the point that, again, you don't have to be checked on. All right. So you're elevating yourself above your competition. See how this works? And we just talked about this in yesterday's episode, how you elevate yourself above the competition, the lazy competition, by doing the work that they don't want to do. And if you can be this level of discipline, this is a competitive advantage that you can use in any aspect, any area, any industry. Nobody has to watch over you. And some of you may be in a position where nobody can watch over you anyway. So can you bring yourself to this level of discipline just on your own volition? As we said, this is where you become eligible to be a professional at what you do. You go out and do your job every single time, regardless of how you're feeling. That's what a professional is. A person who goes out and delivers every time, regardless of how you feel, regardless of your energy, regardless of if you got a full night's sleep the night before, regardless of if things are going well, regardless of if things are going terrible, regardless of what your coworkers or your clients or your customers or the industry or the economy is doing, you show up and you deliver every time. That's a professional. You got to be at level 3 to even be eligible to be a pro. You go out and do your job every time. Understand something, folks. Let me let you in on a secret. There is no professional in any space, any industry, who feels great every time they show up to work. Not one. No one feels great every day. Nobody. But there are many professionals who you know or know of or have engaged with who every time you come across them, they're always on point, they're always focused, and always ready to do their job the right way at the highest possible level. But you can't tell which days they don't feel like it, which days they're tired, which days they didn't get any sleep. You don't know which days were not good for them. Why? Because their performance is so consistent that you don't notice the difference. There's no drop off. There's no drop off in how they perform because their consistency is like clockwork. You don't know what's a bad day for them. You don't know what's a good day for them. And you shouldn't be able to tell. And guess what? No one should be able to tell with you. No one should be able to tell when you're having a good day, when you're having a bad day, when you're tired, when you're feeling great. It shouldn't be any different for the most part. Those are the type of people who you want to have on your team when you have a team. Those are the people you want around you as you're building your associations. Those are the people who actually, if you're going to go be on somebody else's team, you want to be on the team with someone who's like that because they are going to raise your level up because you won't have any choice but to step their level up to even be around them. Because if you won't do that, they'll kick you off the team. Those are people you want to be around. Those are people you want to measure yourself against because their very presence is going to hold you to a standard that you have to live up to. That's what you want. And does this level sound good? Does it sound like a level that you want to be at, a level you want to perform at? I hope so, because this is where it begins. Now, if you're below this level, then we're not even having a serious conversation. Anybody listening to me right now, if you are below level 3, we're not having a serious conversation. You got to be at least at this level 3. And I got even more good news for you. There's another level. Let's move on to level 4. Today's topic, once again, is the levels of discipline. Point number 4. This is doing your job on your own volition, even when you are not mentally activated to do it. Doing your job on your own volition, even when your mindset is not there to have you doing it. So Level 3 is doing your job on your own volition because you mentally got yourself activated to do the job. Like maybe you didn't quite feel like it, but you got yourself mentally activated, you got locked in, you did the job. Level 4 is when you move yourself to do what you need to do on your own volition, even if you don't feel like it. You don't even feel like doing it, but you do it anyway. That's the level that you want to be at. And we just talked about this a couple episodes ago in an episode on. Okay, hold on a second. We just talked about this a couple episodes ago in the episode on do it anyway. 2 days ago. Do it anyway. You don't feel like it, do it anyway. You're tired, do it anyway. All right, it's been a long day, do it anyway. It's raining outside, do it anyway. Your knee hurts, do it anyway. All right, you got a headache, do it anyway. All right, you didn't eat lunch, do it anyway. This is the highest level of professional. That's right, do it anyway. This is the highest level of professional. Do it anyway. You do the job you're supposed to do, even when you don't feel like doing it and it needs to be done. Like it's time to start the job right now and you don't even feel like it. Do it anyway. That's the highest level pro. You see, at level 3, the person executes in a disciplined manner because they've gotten themselves into the mental state. They got motivated, activated, ready to go, excited, whatever verbiage you want to use. Excited, fearful, whatever energy it takes to move themselves to action. Now, at this level, balloons. On the other hand, at this level, level 4, you might be tired, frustrated, disappointed. You really don't feel like it, but you still do the work. And your performance is consistent. That's level 4. This is the mastery of what we call the third day. I wrote a whole book on this concept. You can get a copy by going to thirddaybook.com. Subtitle of the third day is the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. You know what separates the pros from the amateurs? Is that the pros show up and deliver even when they don't feel like showing up. The amateurs does not show up when they don't feel like showing up. That's what makes you a pro. And when you master the third day, now everything opens for you. Showing up, giving your best effort when you don't feel like it. And this is a rare trait, folks. If you thought this was common, it is not common. This is a rare trait, which makes it extremely valuable if you have it and can use it. The value of things increase when there's scarcity. When there are fewer people who can do something that is useful, the value of that thing goes up really high. When a bunch of people can do something that is not very useful because you can get anywhere. So if you can develop this third day ability in any industry, in any space, that's why the value of the whole concept of the third day is so great, which is why I created it. Your value goes up because it's scarce. It's a rare thing. Not many people can do this, and most people do not. And this is something that you want to ingrain as a normal habit, part of your modus operandi, as it is not activated by a certain mentality or motivation anyway. In other words, you don't have to be motivated in order to use it. This is part of who you are, which means you want to not need to think about discipline. You want discipline to be something that just happens. You don't have to think about it. So I told you, I didn't get a ton of sleep last night, got woken up a bunch of times in the middle of the night, didn't need to come to the gym today. Hey, don't do that. Most people who usually come to the gym didn't come to the gym today. I still went to the gym and worked out. Why? Because I didn't have to think about it. I didn't think about, well, maybe I should just not go to the gym today. It didn't cross my mind. There's no way that I wasn't going to go to the gym. I was just going to get my workout. Even if I need to drag my way through it, I was going to get to the gym today. This means, again, you want to be in this position where you're not even thinking about the discipline. It just happens. You want to be part of who you are and part of how you live. This is who I am. It is not what I do. And this is, it goes against the grain of what I've seen a lot of people say. A lot of people, when they talk about their work, when they talk about their careers or their businesses or what they do for a job, they'll say, well, it's what I do, but it's not who I am. I disagree. I believe what you do is who you are because people judge you by your actions. Would you agree? Do people judge you by what you do? Okay, where do you spend most of your time doing? Most of you spend most of your time at work. So guess what people judge you by? What you do at work. And so what you do is who you are. In the eyes of most people who see you, I understand, yes, there are other things to you besides what you do for a living. I get it. But what do you spend most of your time doing? Working. Okay, and what do most people judge you by? What they see you doing. Okay, and since you spend most of your time working, guess what? They're judging you by your work, whether you want them to or not. You could tell them there's other pieces to you all you want, but what are they seeing? Or what they see is how they're going to judge you. People judge you by your actions and the things that you do, period. So you may think that there's a separation between the two, but there really isn't. So I would suggest knowing this, accepting this truth about human nature, that people judge you by your actions. You might as well make your actions look the way you want them to look so that you're coming off to people the way you want to come off. All right, so you don't have to tell them, they can see it. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is the levels of discipline. Again, discipline, foundation, mental asset of the work on your game philosophy. Number one thing I would take with me if I had to drop everything I've ever talked about here and only keep one is going to be discipline. Let's talk about it. Number one, doing what you're penalized for not doing. And I mean an immediate penalty. Again, it's like a child being told they got to clean up their room or they're going to get their ass whipped. They do it immediately because if they don't do it, there'll be a penalty immediately. This level is not very valuable. Number two, doing what you're supposed to do when you're being supervised. This level is not very valuable either. This is like the person working McDonald's or running the fry machine. If you don't do it, eventually somebody's going to notice and you're going to get reprimanded or fired. This person's not very valuable either because it takes more resources to watch them do their job than it does to make sure that they actually do their job. So you're basically a net negative on the organization. Number three is where real value begins. This is when you're doing a job on your own volition, when you are in the right frame of mind. So you get motivated, you get activated, you get excited, you get hyped up, whatever it is you need to do, you get yourself activated to go do the job. That's when you actually start to bring value, but you have to be in the right mindset in order to do your job at level three. Level four is when you do the job and perform at a high level, even if you don't feel like it. Even if you're not activated, you're not excited, you're not energized, you don't have all your faculties, you're not even excited about the job that you're doing, you're not even happy about the people you're around or who you have to work with, but you still deliver at a super high level. That's the fourth level. That is the highest level performer. This is the person who has mastered the third day and made it to what we call, fittingly, the fourth day. This is the highest level individual out there. If you want to be this person, this is the level that you got to get to. Again, this is the fourth level of discipline. And if you don't have my book, The Third Day, go to thirddaybook.com. I'll give you a free copy of the book, physical copy of the book, mailed to you. All you got to do is cover the shipping. Again, it's thirddaybook.com. And the next step after that, you're ready to work with me directly. Have me as your direct coach so we can work on your mindset, your strategy, your systems, and accountability for your personal and professional development. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all